Oshie's here. This is how I turned one of my Oshies into a plushie. So this is Velaslive. She's an amazing VTuber, does a lot of video analysis, advice videos. She's also a 2D rigger. Basically, she does it all. And I wanted to turn her into a plushie because I'm starting up a series where I turn a bunch of VTubers that I really like and admire into plushies because that's my hobby. And I'm also open to community suggestions, and if you want to know where to leave your suggestion for the next VTuber plush, then watch till the end of the video and I'll let you know. Anyhow, I started off with the face on this plush and I decided to embroider the eyes, the mouth, and the eyebrows. Vela has these really nice diamond-shaped pupils, and they were a bit hard to translate into a plush face just because it's so small and you don't have that much space. She's also got a bit of coloring in her cheeks and lips, so I decided to use a cheap blush kit to apply blush onto the plushie itself. And I was really nervous about this because it was my first time doing something like that, and I was worried the color wouldn't come out right or that I would stain the plush in the wrong places. But luckily, it came out pretty good and I'm quite proud of it. Now, the next trickiest part was getting her hair right. Vela has a ton of different hairstyles on her models. They all look great, but I picked this one because I hoped that it would be a little bit easier. Spoiler alert, it was not. Tricky thing about hair, even for simpler looking hairstyles, is that it often has a lot of layers and it can be very hard to get them to fit on a plush and still look recognizable. So I spent a lot of time cutting out different shapes, comparing them to the plush, pinning them down and making sure that it still looked somewhat like what I was going for before I sewed all of them down. Most of these shapes are also 2 layers of felt pinned together and sewn down so that it's a bit thicker and it moves around a bit less, it's not so flimsy. Fun fact, while I was sewing her hair layers with my sewing machine, I thought my machine was about to implode because I saw what looked like white smoke coming out from it. It took me a while to realize that it was actually my chalk outlines puffing up into the air because of the heat and motion of the sewing machine. So, phew, my sewing machine's not breaking down. I did have to do a bit of guesswork to figure out how the back of her head was supposed to look like because you only ever get a front-facing model. After getting everything sewn down onto the head of the plushie, I actually spent some time embroidering the edges of the hair because I thought that it looked too flimsy on the plush, and it was tough. Usually you embroider everything before you sew it down, but I had made the mistake of sewing everything down and then deciding I wanted to embroider it. So I don't regret how it looks, but my hands definitely regret going through that. And I decided to leave the rest of her hair, the parts that don't touch other pieces of hair, unembroidered just because it would take too much time. The next part was of course doing her red and blue highlights, attaching her holographic ears, which are made of a bit of firmer felt board. And initially I wanted to cut them out entirely so they would resemble her holographic ears a bit more and you could actually see through the middle of them. But after a few failed tries, I decided that it would have to be one whole piece or else it would just be too flimsy and I was worried about it ripping off. And because I'm a sucker for details, I cut out more of that firm felt board and made her earrings. The sword one is actually a blue felt board that I painted with some black, and the red one is just a red felt board with the appropriate thread. And I also folded up a little piece of paper, colored it, and made her necklace for her. Vela, again, she has a lot of amazing outfits that I could choose from, but I decided to go with her plain crop top and shorts combo just because it was easier and because I really wanted to show off the patterns that she has on her arms. I sewed down the clothing to the body base because I decided I didn't want to go through the hassle of actually dressing up a doll, and I used a paint marker to make the patterns on her arms. Looking back, I wish I had embroidered instead because the paint marker doesn't really show up well and the white fades really quickly in. So after sewing down the clothing onto her body, sewing the base of the body together into the round shape and creating her arms, the next part was to attach everything together. And here's where I made a mistake. You see, I should have attached the arms to the body first and then attached it to the head. But instead, because I was really excited on stream, I attached the head to the body first, which makes attaching the arms really tricky, because now there's a giant head in a way that you have to shift and bend and move in order to get everything attached properly. But after a lot of fighting with the body and trying to get it to sit where I wanted it to, I did manage to attach the arms. They're not perfect, admittedly. I wish I could have attached them up a bit higher, or even attach them so that they were shifted down instead of being pushed outwards like a T-pose. But we live and we learn. And then the plushie was complete. Or was it? You see, because I am a madman and I wanted to be as accurate as possible, I decided that doing all this just wasn't enough. I had to go an extra mile. And one thing about Vela that I really love design-wise is actually her jacket. She wears it quite often in most of her videos and shorts, and I almost didn't try to create it because it was really hard to actually find a full reference picture of it. You almost always just get the top half. You don't see the full thing in most of her shorts. And after lots and lots of looking, I was ready to give up. But then I found this video of hers where she's showing off the rigging, and it's her in that jacket with the full front of the jacket shown with all of its designs. A moment of absolute happiness that I now had the patterns to create the jacket. So I went about doing that. I scavenged a blue and red zipper from the wasteland, broke those in half, attached them accordingly to the jacket, embroidered all of the design, and basically I just made a jacket out of a bigger pattern, just downsized it. One mistake I did make was when I attached the zipper, I didn't check the little zipper tag thing, so I accidentally put it in backwards. So if you want to zip her up, you actually have to pull it from within the jacket. But it looks pretty good when it's all flared out, so I don't mind it so much. And she doesn't zip up her jacket anyway in most of her VTuber videos, so that's fine. I'm not too passed out over that. And the doll was finally complete. And actually, in fact, the whole doll came out a little bit bigger than I anticipated. Here she is next to one of the first ever dolls I made. And I'm pretty proud to see how far I've improved. And she can even stand on her own, sorta. So that's how I turned one of my Oshis into a plushie. And this is a final message to Velaslive if she's watching. I know I've said it before on stream, but I don't know if it ever reached you. If there is a way to get this plushie to you, and if you want it, I'd be more than happy to try and send it to you whatever way is possible. But again, I don't want any VTuber that I make a plush for to feel pressured into saying yes, they have to receive it. Most of the plushes here, and this plush especially, was made because I admire the VTubers in question, or I really like their design. And nobody bothered Vela about it, by the way. She's probably seen my messages by now regarding it. And I don't want to force any communication. Okay, this was purely a passion project. Don't bother any of the VTubers that I make a plush for. It is just my hobby. Anyway, I'm going to be moving on to the next doll project soon. Some of you might already know the next Oshi I have in mind. And I'm also hosting a plushie raffle on Twitter and my Discord. All you have to do is leave a picture of your favorite VTuber or animal or whatever plush you want made on the next stream in the comments, and I'll do a quick random raffle to decide which one I'm going to do. Disclaimer, you won't be receiving the plush because shipping from the post-apocalypse is very expensive and I'm not sure how to handle it yet. But it will guarantee that I make a plush of whatever you are looking for on stream. I hope that doesn't put anyone off. I'm not here to deceive anyone. I don't know how to end this, so I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more VTuber plushies. Stay hydrated and safe. And 10A out.